Okay, good morning, everybody. Good morning to those that are here. If you can hear me, please say hello in the comment section. Good morning, everybody. If you can hear me, please say hello in the comment section. If you can hear me, please say hello in the comment section. Can anybody hear me? Hi, good morning, Dorothy. All right, good morning. We're about to start now that we have a couple of people around. So, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the class. Today um, we're going to be learning about how to create a compelling user experience. If we all remembered, we talk about we've spoken so much about how important user experience is when you're designing your web page or a landing page or website in general, because your user experience is way more important than um, any other thing when it comes to your web page. web application or whatever it is you're designing. So how do you help your audience? How do you help your user to enjoy staying on your website? How do you do it that they come on your website and they want to stay? Those are the things we want to talk about today. So first thing is, let's talk about the importance of user experience. I believe we've talked about this sometimes in the past. Um, so, um, well, I'll still mention it again. So let's talk about user satisfaction. Positive experience leads to happy users, fostering brand loyalty and important word and positive word of mouth. Now, if your user comes to your website and then they have a very good experience, they will be so happy your with their experience that they want to discuss your business with other people. That's how important your user experience is. You can't help it because in as much as you're not there when your user is using your website, you can't tell them how to use it. You can't um affect their experience, or you can't influence their experience. That's the word. You can't influence their experience. You can only do all of that in your design. So when you do a good job with your user experience design, it makes it very easy. It makes it seamless for anybody to come on your web page, use your website, use the features, do whatever you want them to do. And then once they do that, they are able to go back out there and talk about your business to other people, which in turn leads to more sales. So that's one thing that is very important. And that's why one of the reasons why user experience is very important. It's just like walking into any store, making sure you okay, say for example you walk into a store, you want to buy something, and then you find it very difficult to locate the wings, where maybe you walk into a supermarket and you're trying to buy something, and then you discover that you don't even know where children things are, not properly labeled, you don't know where groceries are and all of that. It's very important to understand that this is your user experience. This is how your user experience actually works. It's more like entering a supermarket and then everything is just everywhere. Nothing is labeled, nothing is guiding the users on where to go and where not to go. It becomes a problem. Or at the end of the day, you get to the customer, you get to the pain point, and then paying is not as seamless as it should be. It becomes a problem. Paying is very hectic and all of that. People go back and keep and start talking about that supermarket and be like, oh, that supermarket, I beg, I beg, I beg, I beg, I beg. So that's the same thing that comes when it comes to your website. That is the same thing that works when it comes to your website. When people come to your website and they are not able to have that seamless experience, they are not able to navigate through your website, they'll just be like, oh, I'm on that website is not it, and then that will be all. They might not visit again, and that's bad for business. That's bad for you as a designer. That's bad for the owner of the business. So those are the things that are very important when it comes to user experience design. Now, another importance of user experience is increased engagement, conversions, and revenue stem from a well-designed user experience. Now, the last class we had, we talked about this. We said um, increase in engagement will definitely result to conversion. Now, conversion, I explained what conversion is the last class. Conversion simply is converting your all your visits to sales, or converting your visits to, if you don't want them to buy, probably you want them to maybe you don't want them to buy, you want them to fill a form for you, you want them to click a link, you want them to call you, whatever it is you want them to do. Them doing those things when they visit your website is what we call conversion. Now, for every business out there that is hosting a website, all they want from that website is conversion. They want you to visit their website, learn about their website, and then learn about their business, and then come to patronize that business. So if your user experience is not seamless enough for them to be able to come on there, um, fill a form you want them to fill, or get the contacts you want them to contact, or sign up for whatever it is you're selling on your website, it becomes a problem. That means the user experience is not properly done. So those are the things that you want to keep in mind, that um as to why user experience is very, very important. So understanding your user needs and behavior. Now, before you can design a very good user experience, right, there are things you need to understand, which are your user behaviors and needs. Now, what is an average user that comes to your website? What are they looking for? What are they looking to do on your website? What exactly are they trying to achieve on your website when they come? These are the things you put in mind. Because at the end of the day, if you don't understand this, it becomes a problem to be able to predict how they behave. When you're not able to predict how they behave, then you cannot predict what they are going to like. So those are the things you put in mind when you're designing your web page. You want to be sure that you know how you know what they are looking for, you know what exactly their need is, you know their pain point, you know what they are looking for. So from what they are looking for, you can definitely predict how they behave. You can definitely predict what they are going to like. Those are the things you put into consideration when you're designing your website. So those are the things that matters. Now, user research. um for every business, they know, most businesses have their customer or target audience, customer based, or however you want to call it. Now, these target audience are the people you want to visit your website. They are the ones you want patronage from. So those are the things you put in mind. Now let's make a little research about how our users are going to behave. When Facebook was founded, Facebook was very common among the youth, very, very common among the youth, because back then social media was a youth thing, not for the young adults or adults then. So it was just every young person out there signing up on Facebook and all of that. So everything done on Facebook then would be based on um, the kind of users they have. Now, if you think about it, more and more, the more Facebook gets old, the more older people get on Facebook, and then now Facebook is more crowded by older people than the younger ones. Same with TikTok now. TikTok is used largely by um younger people right now. So all those things are the things you need to put in mind when you are designing your website. So for every business, for a web designer, you need to understand, okay, who are the people you are designing this for? Who are those people that are going to use it? Do a little research about them. Gather the insights through surveys, interviews, and ability to test usability testing to understand your target audience. Now, say for example, your users are mainly young adults and youths. You already know from there that this is the kind of things that is trending around or amongst um the young adults and youths. If your target audience are elderly, pensioners, retirees, and all of that, or the veterans, you know how those people behave, you know the kind of things they would like, you know the kind of simplicity you want to embed in your website. So those are the things that matters a lot when it comes to web design. So you should be able to do a little research based on all of this, gather a little insights. If you need to take a survey, take a survey. If you need to interview. If you need to do a little testing to be able to know how your user actually interacts with your web page and all of that, you should be able to do that so that you can get them the best experience they are looking for. User persona, create a fictional profiles of your ideal customer to guide your design decisions based on real world insight. Now, if you remember, I told you to block out your web, how you want your website to look the last time. Now, this is one thing that comes with every user experience, right? When you're trying to design user interface and experience, right? One thing you want to put in mind is um, what your ideal customer how your ideal customer would behave on your website. So if you put that in mind, you already have a kind of profile. Okay, say for example, your ideal customer is Tade. Tade is a 28 years old young female that owns a small business, that is newly married and all of that. Now you already have a little profile about who your ideal customer should be. Now, for Tade, that is 28 years old, newly married, young business owner, what service are you trying to prefer to Tade? Now, you have a solution to sell on your website. Now, when Tade comes as a 28-year-old person, Tade is a little tech savvy. Tade understands how computer works a little to some extent. Tade is already used to most social media, so icons will not be a problem for Tade. Tade already understand um, what interpretation of icons, infographics, and all of that. So it means if you embed all of those things in your website, Tade will not have a problem understanding them. That's you creating a persona about your target audience. Now, you with with the profile you have about Tade, you can definitely predict how she's going to behave on your website. You can predict how those are the things she would like and the things she would frown at. So those are the things you put in mind. You actually put not just in mind, but you put to practice when you're designing a web page. Now, another thing is user journey mapping. Visualize the steps user takes when interacting with your products. Identify pain points and opportunities for improvement. Now, we've already talked about this countless times, talking about visual hierarchy, talking about how you want to direct the eyes of your audience when they are visiting your webpage. Now, it's the same thing. The user journey. What are the things you want them to do? How do you want them to behave when they come? Would you want them to read this particular heading first? You want them to find out about your latest product first. If that is what you're trying to do, put it there. If you're trying to let them fill a form straight up, make it that way. If you want them to be captivated with what they see, then put it that way. So if you believe a picture will tell your story better, if you believe a picture will sell your website or your business better, then let it be a very bold picture of the product, or a picture that tells a story about the service you are rendering. These are the things you put in mind, not just slapping everything on your web page. So those are the things you put in mind. Those are the things you put into practice when you're designing your web page. It is very important to understand how all these things works. User experience will help your web page function better than just designing based on your own personal preference. So principles of effective UX design. Now, we spoke about these things when we're talking about principles of web design in general. Now, simplicity is very, very important. I said it when we're talking about principles of web design. Simplicity and minimalism. If your web page is not as simple as ABC, if you remember, for those that were in class on Friday, the the dummy website we were trying to create in class, we were trying to do what, make it as simple as possible. We have our header, we have our body, and then we have a call to action button and all of that. Make it as simple as that. No too much colors, no too many designs. what we're doing was to ensure that we have that very simple simple, compact, and minimal design for our users. So that when they come, they already see what they are looking for. When a user comes to your web page and see what they are looking for, it won't be difficult for them to take any action you want them to take. Say, for example, your call to action is to maybe fill a form, maybe book a session, maybe register, or whatever you want them to sign up for anything. It will be easy for them to say they want to do that when your design is simple enough for them to move straight forward to that point where you want them to take that particular action. But when their experience is difficult, they don't even understand what they are reading, they don't know what's next to read, if they are supposed to swipe right, if they are supposed to scroll up, they don't know what to do. It becomes a problem. So those are the things you put in mind when you are making your designs. Now, accessibility. Ensure your design is accessible to users with disability, promoting inclusivity and reach. Now, we talked about this when we were talking about principles that governs web design the last time too. Now, accessibility is very important. Like, I made this particular example about people with impaired sight or hard of hearing and all of that. Now, if your design is not accessible to people with disability, it becomes a problem. That means you're not being inclusive. All right. So you should be able to ensure that your page is simple enough that when accessibility apps like text to speech are working on your website, they can easily read out and explain what your website looks like to somebody that is blind, and then they will be able to navigate whatever they want to navigate. All right, so those are the things you put in mind. Consistency. Maintain a consistent visual language and interaction pattern throughout your products for cohesive experience. Now, if you remembered when we're designing in class, somebody was talking about how the black color from the header is now the same black color on the body. Now, it shows how seamless and how consistency can actually help enhance your visuals. If you're designing and then everything is seamless and you have consistent pattern of design, it won't even look like you are moving from one page to another. It won't look as if you're moving from one um scene or one screen to another. It won't look like that. Everything will become seamless. Everything will run very smooth, that you won't even know that okay, you are already navigating or you are already scrolling through. So that consistency matters. Let everybody know that okay, this is the pattern you are trying to use, this is the pattern you are trying to communicate with. So those things are the things that you put in mind. Maintain a constant visual language and interaction pattern throughout your product for cohesive experience. So when they already know that okay, yes, if you use this kind of color, you use this kind of grid on your website, they already understand how it works um, because you've been consistent with your type of design. So that's another thing. Usability is another very important thing. Prioritize ease of use and clarity, making it effortless for users to find information and complete tasks. This cannot be overemphasized. Talking about usability, instead of you trying to put in so much work into design, into oh god, I know how to design this thing, I learned this new I learned new this I learned this new design pattern that I want to embed in my website. Instead of stressing yourself that much, focus on ease of use. Focus on how easy you want your website to be for people to use. When they come, make it very easy for them to be able to find whatever it is they are looking for on the website. Not until they start scrolling, or not until they zoom in before they see whatever they are looking for. So those are the things that are very important. Ease of use. Ease of use is very, very important. If they need to fill a form, make the form as easy as possible. Not not all about you are trying to do. Okay, you are trying to put in all your design knowledge and everything, and then it becomes very tacky and difficult for user to use. It becomes a problem. So these are the things you put in mind. Now, leveraging on user research and testing. So we talked about research, doing research just now. So talking about the research now, if you've already conducted a research about your users, you already know what they like, you already know you already know how they behave, you already know what majority are looking for when they come to your website. Those things are the things that will now push you to make amends to your, maybe you have an initial design, now you use that to make amendments to your website. From there you can now do the exact thing that you got from the research that you did. So say for example you've already done interviews, you've carried out surveys. Now what you need is data analysis. With data analysis from your research or from your survey, you have, say for example you reached out to 100 people to have them choose between A or B, and then say for example 75% went for B. Now you ask other questions for you to be sure of why they chose B, whatever option they chose. So those are the things your data analyst will point out for you from the results. Now people are bent to B, maybe because of the simplicity, maybe because of where you actually place the icon, maybe because of whatever reason it is. Now those things are what you now put into consideration when you're making your next user experience design. So those are the things that are very, 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 very important. Now analyze your user research to identify patterns and trends guiding your design decisions, just like I just explained. Make sure you, from whatever research you did, if it's interview you did, if it's survey you did, ensure that you got the key information that you need. From those information you got, you will now be able to tailor your design to suit your audience. So next thing is usability testing. Observe user interacting with your products, gathering feedback, and identify areas for improvement. Now, if you have designed your website, let other people come, let them visit and see, okay, I want you to, maybe you've even embedded a kind of design or a kind of animation on it and all of that. Give your website domain to somebody, let them visit your website and then watch them interact, watch them use your website and see how they actually behave. Now if that happens and then they don't end up maybe making use of the call to action, or they can't find the call to action, they can't find where your form is, or they encounter any problem, or they have to ask you a question because you're there to use your website, then there's a problem. So they should be able to do whatever they want without having to ask any question, without having to say, okay, how do I do this? Should I do this or should I do that? Or when they are using your website and they now ask you, so what should I do next? That means you've not done a great job. So from there, you can now decide on what you want to change in your design, because you already understand how a user would behave when they use your website. So iteration and refinement. Continuously iterate your design based on user feedback, optimizing your experience over time. Now, like I just said, when you've had people use your website, you've had people test for you, you've seen how they actually behave, the things that are missing, the things that they would like to maybe include. Now with that, you can now make another iteration, make another design, push it back to them, say, okay, compare this to the last version you did. What do you think? Use this and let me see how you feel. From there, you can easily tell which one is better, how to improve your design and all of that. If you need to put a new thing, if you need to bring back something from the last version or anything like that, you can always do that. So those are the things that you put in mind. So I believe we have enough people in class now. When we finish this particular slide, I would like us to go through a question and answer session and then talk about what we did in the last practical class, for the sake of those that were not able to grab a lot from the class, those that were online and then they were not able to grab a lot from what we did online. So let's continue that. Designing for consistency and usability. Like we talked about just now in a previous slide, that when you are designing, consistency and usability are very important things. Consistency when it comes to your design, consistency when it comes to your visuals. Let them see what you're trying to pull through. Let them see a pattern to your design, so they know that, okay, yes, this is how this is the kind of page I'm looking at, and then they have that sense of, yes, I'm still in the right place. Say for example, look at this first first column here. From this first column, you already know, if you click next from this first column and you come here, you know that you are still on the same page. Why? Because of the consistency in color and pattern. You already know that, okay, yeah, we are still using our purple and orange and white, right? All right. So you already know that we are still on the same page, we are still on the same website. Now, if you click next from this particular first part of the screen and then you see green, you'll be like, wait, am I still on the same page? You want to check your search bar to be sure that it's still the same web page that you have been visiting before. That's what consistency does to your website. Or say for example, somebody visited your landing page yesterday, and then today when they come, it's a different color entirely, it's a different theme entirely, everything is looking completely different. They begin to wonder if we are still if they are still on the same page, if they are still visiting the same business as they did yesterday. So those are the things that matters when it comes to design. Now, we've talked about this as many times as possible, talking about information hierarchy, visual cues, and feedback mechanism. Now, we've talked about information hierarchy, which is the same thing as visual hierarchy, making sure that the things that are important are placed in the important places where readers can easily just look at it and understand that, yes, this is the important part, this is the header, this is the subheading, this is the body text, and all of that. So those are the things that matters. You want to guide their eyes, you want to guide their attention, you want them to be able to see this one first, then from there, what next do they see? This one. Then from there, what next do they do? This, that. So those are the things you put in mind when it comes to design, right? So visual cues, you already know, we've already talked about this one before. We've talked about how you want them to know that when they view this is the next thing you want them to see. So use visual cues such as color, typography, and spacing to guide your user through the interface. So you want them to know that, okay, this one is this, this one is that. After this one, this is the next thing. So if you check these 3 columns now, you can tell that at the end of this part, if you can see my mouse moving, at the end of this part comes this particular part. Now we already know that we are done with this particular page, and then we're on another page now, and then this white begins another page. So those are the things that you put in mind when you're making your design and all of that. All right, so feedback mechanism: provide clear feedback to user confirming actions and guiding them through the process. So if um, there's a problem, um, if users are finding something difficult or anything, you can always feed them back on those on those issues they're having. Give feedback to your users, let them understand, okay, this is this, this is that, this is this, this is that. So those things are very important. Now, incorporating emotion and delight. Now, if you remember vividly, our second class, right, the class we had last week Monday, we talked about this. We talked about how you put your users emotion into consideration when you are making your design. You want them to behave a certain way, you want them to feel a certain way when they come to your website. That's one thing you want to be sure you're doing with your design. Like during our practical class on Friday, I think there were two people that were designing a food ordering website, right? Or I think so, something like that. So um for those kind of people, what do you want your user to feel when they come to your website? Somebody was doing cake and somebody else was doing, I think, food. I can't remember. I think, or both of them were cakes also. Now, when they visit your website, the first thing you want them to feel is you want them to salivate first. When they come, you want them to feel like, yes, they want to eat that cake right there and then. So that emotion is what you want to stir up when they visit. So you make that as important as possible and then put it into your design in a way that your most juicy kind of cake, the picture is there, and then you make it look as good as possible, that they just want to order it right there and then. So those are the things you want to do. Say for example, somebody else that is selling shoe, or my own website that is for a gym. You want to stir up a particular emotion. You want to give them that enthusiasm that yes, they can do it too. They can, if they visit the gym, um they can they can get the kind of body they want and all of that. So those kind of emotional designs are things you want to consider. Consider the emotional impact of your design, creating experiences that evoke positive feelings. Now, another thing is delightful interactions. Introduce unexpected moments of joy and delight, leaving a lasting impression on users. These things cannot be overemphasized. When they come to your website, when they visit your website, make sure they feel a certain way, that they just want to come back always. They always want to come back. They always want to remember to patronize you. They always want to remember to visit your website. So those are the things that matters. Now, personalization. Tailor the experience for individual preferences, creating sense of connection and belonging. Now, if a user reads a blog, or a user comes to your website, and then everything they see seems like you're talking personally to them, you're talking directly to them, they feel a sense of connection and they feel like, oh, yes, I'm a part of this, and then they want to stay because they feel that sense of belonging, that yes, I belong here. These people actually care about me. These people thinks the same way I think. So those are the things you want to consider. Use of phrases, use of verbs, use of pronouns and all of that. You want them to feel like, yes, they are welcome, they are part of you, they are a part of the whole business, they matter. Those kind of things are things that matters in your design. You put it in mind that, okay, this person, you want them to feel like, okay, they are a part of this, and then you actually tailor this experience for them. You want them to have this personal experience because this is basically for them. So now, measuring and improving UI UX over time. Now, you see, you can't have a perfect design. There's no such thing as perfect design. Therefore, as time changes, as time goes, as trends goes, you want to update your website, you want to update your design. There are things that make so much sense years back that when people see it now, they'll be like, are we in 1990? because it doesn't make sense again to them, because it looks so old school. So you want to keep those things in mind and make sure you're always updating your user experience, making sure maybe as at now, most people come to the right hand side of web page to see call to action buttons. Say for example you want them to register or log in, most people are used to seeing it at this top side. If there's a sign up or log username and password or whatever at this top side, they mostly see it at this side. So they are used to it now. If over time it becomes something that comes to somewhere here, you want to make sure you update your trend and bring your own to this place. If it becomes something where people put it at the bottom side because everybody is now using mobile phone to visit the website and all of that, and then for you to just click on sign up, you can just use the same hand. You don't have to stretch because maybe your phone is big. You don't have to stretch your hand to the top side of your screen, and then everybody start putting their login, signing and login and password here. You want to ensure that you are putting your own here too, so that everybody can interact with your website the same way they interact with every other website out there. So that's something that is very important. Always do your analytics. Make sure you are always updating your website, your design to the latest trends and user behaviors. Now, use track key UX metrics to understand user behavior and identify areas for improvement. That's what I just explained. Understand how things are done now, and understand how people behave on the internet now. Identify how your user especially behaves now, and then use those information to update your design. Now, A/B testing. I just talked about something the other time where you're trying to make a survey, and then you push out two versions of what your website is supposed to look like. Let them see which one they want to, which one people prefer, which look people prefer, which user interface suits them more, and all of that. Now, testing out these two versions becomes a thing whereby you now understand, okay, yeah, this people tends to dive through this one better because of this particular feature. So let's embed this feature more when we are making our design. Let's bend towards this particular side so that we can achieve our goal and all of that. So test different designs variations to see which one performs best, optimizing the user experience based on that data. So once you put out those two things or two versions of your website, let people see how easy they are to use, how visually appealing they are, and all of that. You want them to understand, you want them to see these things and feel like, okay, yeah, we prefer this to this. So now from those results you get, you can now enhance your user experience, optimize your user experience. So user feedback, gather ongoing user feedback through surveys, reviews, and support channels to identify unmet needs. Now you already have a channel where you are reaching out to your customers, you are reaching out to your users. Let them come back and tell you, even if it's not a personal business you're designing for, if it's a client, say you are designing a website for a client, let them be able to come back and tell you, okay, this is what people are talking about, this is what we've gotten so far. Some people are not completing the survey because of this and that. Some people complain that the survey is too long. Some people complain that the content of the survey is too personal and they don't want to share those personal information and all of that. So those are the things you put in mind when it comes to your website and user experience especially. So you want them to be sure that yes, you want to be sure that they are using your website and they're using it correctly, and then they are interacting with it the way they are supposed to. Those are the things you put in mind. So that's about it for now. That's the end of that particular topic. which is creating a compelling user experience. So let's now go back to what we did um, on Friday. So please, if you're in the comment section, and then if you're in the class right now and then you were not in class on Friday, please notify me in the comment section now, so that we can do a couple of things, a couple of revise. We can revise or just go through what we're doing a little. I'm still waiting, please. How many of you were not in class last week? How many of you were online that you felt left out? Or if you're here and you've not attended any practical class, please type it now in the comment section so that we can go real fast. We still have another topic to cover today before we leave. So let's quickly rush through what we did last so that we can go through it. Okay. All right. So we have a couple of people here now that are that were not in class on Friday. So basically, we are using we've been learning WordPress in practical class. So now WordPress is a content management system that helps you design your website, not host but design. So you can build a web page. You know, all this particular course is all about a landing page design, right? So what we've been doing is designing a web page that's designing a landing page actually. So now these landing pages are done using, now we've been designing using a local host because we are not hosting our website online yet. So our local host server is from XAMPP, and then this XAMPP has been helping us to host on our PC instead of hosting on website. So so far, now if you were in class, if you're not in class, I don't know where to actually start. Give me a minute. I'm going to put something on my screen now. I'm trying to fix that. Okay. Okay. I believe we can all see my screen now. So I'm going to my screen should be up now. Is it? All right. My screen is back now. All right. So now I'm going to package something for everybody to use. All right. So this is one thing I'm going to try and do. so that it's going to so now the first thing you want to do is, for the sake of this class, we are using XAMPP. There are other server systems that you can use online, but we're using XAMPP for this particular class. So I'm going to do something whereby I'll gather a step-by-step guide on how to install XAMPP for everybody. So now when you install XAMPP, right, please, I'm going to gather that step-by-step method for everybody to use, so that you can set up your PC on your own and then be able to maybe set XAMPP up. Then after setting up XAMPP, how to install your WordPress in XAMPP, and then how to get to a point where you can now start designing. I'm going to put a step-by-step method on that for everybody. So if you have installed your XAMPP, it's supposed to look something like this. Let me try and share my screen on XAMPP, right? So your XAMPP is supposed to look like this. Hold on. All right. So if your XAMPP looks like this, you can now easily just click on admin here. When you click on admin, it's going to take you back to your default browser. So when it does that, your browser comes in to be like this, right? So when it comes like this, right? Okay, I think I should be able to add more screens. Okay, so let's use our browser for now. When it comes like this is where you come from, and then now you can manage all your websites from here. Now we for those that were in class, those that have been able to come around and all of that, they now understand how PHPMyAdmin works, how localhost works, and all of that. Now, localhost is supposed to help you host your website on your PC instead of hosting it on the web. So while you do all your design, and then you now host it on the web when you are ready to host it on the web. So right now, our website everything is on our system, and then it's being held on this particular domain, which is this our PHPMyAdmin here, our local host. So if you come here and put localhost, I believe everybody can see my screen. Localhost / the name of your website / WP admin. You will get here, which is where you are supposed to get to when you are done installing your XAMPP and your WordPress in XAMPP. So basically, this is what your dashboard is going to look like. So from there, we can now start designing our page from here. So if you look, we have dashboard, post, media, pages, comments, our as our design tools, as our management tools, not design tools. All these are what we use as our management tools that will help us manage our website. Now we've been designing different things over time. So the pages we've designed will be here, and then if you have templates you've downloaded, if you have plugins, everything will be here. Now let's go back to what we're designing on Friday. So Basically, all you need to understand about building a web page with Elementor is we are going to be doing is drag and drop, right? When when you when you've envisioned your web page, you already know what your web page is supposed to look like. The first thing you want to do is to be able to block it out. Like I said, we should the last time, that we should make sure we block out our web page the best way we can, so that that block that you've done, that blocking you've done, we now your design. You now use that to know that, okay, yes, here we are supposed to have a picture, here we are supposed to have a text, here we are supposed to have a call to action button. It's supposed to be a footer here. We want a video to play here. We want reviews to be here, and all of that. Those are the things you put in mind when you are designing. So when you want to design a page with Elementor, this is the blank page that is supposed to come. Now, on this our left hand side are the tools we use to design the website. Now, if you see what we call container, we see grid, we see heading, image, text editor, video, button, divider, space divider, spacer, Google map, icon, and all of that. So everything we are going to be using to design, everything is here on this left hand side. Meanwhile, our website design is supposed to be here at this other side of the screen. I believe we can. So if we now start designing now, for example, we can just start from add a new container here, then you click on this place, flexbox, and click this. Now, if you have anything you've planned in your mind before on how you want your website to be, say for example you want a header to be there, you put a container here, and then you to be a text. You've already put it, you want it to be a text that is there that says the name of your website. Let's say for example the name of your website is idea class. So I can easily just come to style, typography, I can come to style and choose text color here and make it black. So now if you see here, you can see that we already have idea class as the header of our website. So it's as simple as that. All those things, and then if you now want to manage what your container is holding, you can come here and justify, say for example you want it to come to the middle here and all of that. So those are the things you want to put into consideration when you are making your design. So it's as simple as that. I don't know how easy it's going to be for everybody to get this without being interactive, without having an interactive session where you can where I can see what you are doing so far, or how I can see how you've been able to progress so far. So here's what we are going to do. I'm going to provide everybody with a folder, with a link, right, that has folder of screenshots of step-by-step method of how to install XAMPP, of how to install Elementor. I'm going to give you resource files on everything up to the point where you can start designing your web page. Now, on Friday, the next practical class is going to be like this, right? For the next Friday, next practical class, please, those that are going to be online, it's going to be difficult if you don't have a PC with you, right? So ensure that you have a PC, you have a computer with you when we are going to have that Friday class, so that when we are in class, what we are doing in class on Friday is continuation of what we've done last week. So it's going to be easier on the people that were in class last week for them to just pick it up from there and complete their own website. Meanwhile, for those that were not in class, we are going to start and build our own website online on that Friday. So that's what we are going to do. All right. So that's what we are going to be doing on Friday. So just make sure you have a PC with you so that I can just guide you through everything. If so if you have a problem, then we can always solve it and then we'll just move from there. I hope we all understand now. So for those that were in class on Friday, if you were in class on Friday, please say hi in the comment section. Somebody is saying they can't hear me. Is that true for everybody? Is that the same for everybody? Can everybody hear me? Okay. For those that were in class on Friday, the last thing we did was to add an anchor to our website, right? So check. So for those, the last thing we did was to add an anchor to our menu bar so that the anchor can take us to where those things are. So we added an anchor to visit and then it didn't work. But then for some reason I got home and I refreshed the page and then it worked. I didn't do any other thing. I didn't do anything to it and it worked. So that means what's it called? That means everything we learned is the same and everything works exactly the same. So all you need to do is just to put your anchor all above at the beginning of this screen where you are trying to anchor it to, and then it works. So that's it. If you see, you can see my you can see my screen, you see that everything is reacting well now. This was the website we built in class last week. So that's about the revision of the class. So now let's go to let us go to the last part of today's class, which is this. All right. Can we all see my screen? All right. So this is the next thing we are going to be learning, which is best practices and tools for web-based visual storytelling. Like we spoke about, this particular course is all about designing a landing page, one, and then with an emphasis on visual storytelling, not just designing any landing page, but a visually appealing web and landing page with visual storytelling. And then we've already talked about visual storytelling over and over and over and over again, but then we're still going to talk about it again. Why? Because it matters. If you don't understand how visual storytelling works, it becomes a problem for you to create an appealing user experience, and that's going to be a problem for your website. So those are the things you want to consider when you're designing. So that's why we keep talking about visual storytelling and all of that. So now this particular topic is going to now tell us how to harness the power of visual storytelling to engage audience and achieve your goals for creating a compelling web-based narrative that leaves lasting impact. Now, you want to make your web page not just about you putting out information out there. A the web space, the internet space, is like a market where everybody is selling everything. So there's nothing you're doing that nobody else is doing. If I thought you're doing something that nobody is doing, somebody out there is doing something similar to it. But for you to stand out, you have to do your own thing in a different way, so that people can find you attractive enough to want to interact with you. Everybody can remember that guy that did fish pie, something like that. He was selling fish pie just like every other fish pie seller out there. But then he added a touch of comic relief to what he was doing. And then because of that, he was able to get attention of so many people. That's what visual storytelling can do to your website. Adding a little touch of storytelling, adding a little bit of practices that are not practices, adding elements that make your website stand out are those things that will just differentiate you from every other website or every other web designer out there. So those are the things we want to consider or learn in this particular class. Hold on. Hold on, my PC is freezing. Okay. All right. So the rise of visual content. Now, attention grabbing. Now, visual content is more engaging than text alone, capturing attention and promoting engagement in an increasingly crowded online landscape. This is especially crucial for a generation that consumes information quickly and relies on visual cues to process information. Now, this is what I was talking about just now. Talking about the web space, it is crowded. Everybody is putting one thing or the other out there. Now, for your own website, for your landing page to stand out and look appealing, you want to add visual content. You want to add, if it's picture you're trying to add, put it. If it's an animation you're trying to add it. But make sure it's not just text. You have to be able to tell your story with, if you're trying to use an animation that perfectly tells your story, that connects with your user. If you're using an image, use an image that is going to tell your story to the fullest, that makes people want to sympathize, or if you want them to feel a certain kind of emotion, a picture that will make them feel that particular way, that type of way. that's what you're going to be using on your website. Because the more you do it, the better your website becomes. If you don't do it in a way that is visually appealing, it becomes a problem. One. Two, it becomes boring. Nobody wants to see a page where they are just reading and reading and reading and reading and reading and reading and reading, right? When you already give a picture that has told half of the story, now that picture will now keep them engaged enough to want to read what happens next. That's what our visual content helps you do on your website. Now, information retention. Visual aids in information retention and understanding, enhancing comprehension by providing a clear and concise presentation of complex data and ideas. By illustrating key points, visual enhance the overall learning experience and make information easier to remember. Now, if you've learned something somewhere and then there are no pictures, just text, no pictures, no illustration, just text, right? Say for example, you're talking about how somebody can move from point A to point B to point D, then after point D you want to go to point J, from point J to point Q, right? Now, all these are texts that you have written on your website. Now, good, fine and good, your users are smart and they can read. They've read that, okay, after A, B, C, they want to go to J before they go to Q, before they go to Z. But how well do you think they are going to remember this in the next 5-6 months? In fact, how well are they going to remember this next week without a visual illustration of what you're trying to tell them? It becomes a problem, right? Now, if with the aid of an illustration, say for example, you represent point A with a home, right? Point B, bus stop. Point C, in the car. Point D is the next bus stop, right, where they are going to stop. Now, point J that they are supposed to go from the car is where they are going to have an interview, right? Then from that point, after the interview, where are they going to? A restaurant to do what? To eat and rest. And then from there, they go back to where? Point A, that is their home. Now, with the aid of this simple illustration that I just did now, everybody now knows that if they move from their home, they are going to where? Bus stop. From bus stop, they are going to where? Inside the bus. From the bus, they are going to another bus stop. From bus stop, they are going to the place where they are going to have an interview. From the interview, they want to go and eat. Now, this illustration compared to me saying they are going to A, B, C, E, J, Q, and Z, which one is more easy to remember or to comprehend? It's the first one, right? So that's what that's what visuals does to your to anything you're trying to sell. Now, if you now embed this idea into your web page storytelling, it makes it easy for people to comprehend. It makes it easy for people to even want to engage more on your web page. So those are the things you want to consider. Now, principles of effective visual storytelling. Now, just like what we are talking about just now, compare this slide to this slide, right? This one looks like it's one slide that is so boring and cumbersome. Why? Because there's so many text, no picture. But if you check here now, you already see that there's an artistic something going on here, right? Because of that, it becomes even more interesting for you. You become even more interested to read what we have on here. So those are the things you want to consider when you are making your design. Now, number one principle of effective visual storytelling is to know your audience. You don't want to tell a story that is meant for adults to children. You don't want to tell a story to adults in a children way. So those are the things you want to consider when you are when you are designing. You want to make sure you use a proper language for your audience. Languages that best suit your audience is what you are going to use. Those are the things you want to consider. Very, very important.
Know your audience, understand your target audience, their interest, and the message you aim to convey to create content that resonates with them. If your audience are this kind of people that um that are that are um that likes this particular kind of thing, you want to make sure you're using that line to pass your message to them. If your audience are people that behave a certain way, you want to consider that behavior when you are passing your message. Those are the things. Even languages. Have you seen Twitter handlers where they come online and then you see that you just recently a Spanish club signed a Nigerian guy, and then what did they do? The the official Twitter handle just went and tweet Naija how far now. Now on a good day before then, you would never see anything like that on their webpage. Why? Because their their fans are either from Spain or every other part of the world, not Nigerian. But now they know that because they have a Nigerian player in their team, Nigerians are going to support their team because they are supporting their player, right? Now, what did they do? They come online to tweet in pidgin English. So those are the things you want to consider. Knowing your audience, know that okay, because we are signing a new player, definitely people from Nigeria are definitely going to watch our space today. So let us use their what, their lingo to communicate with them. Those are the things that you want to consider too when you're building your website. You want to make sure you use proper languages, proper means of communication to them, proper illustrations that actually resonate with them, kind of images that when they see it triggers their emotion. You already know this based on your target audience. You know the people you are trying to reach. Somebody that is creating a website for cakes, right? You know what people want to see. You know the kind of cakes that when they see it, oh my god, they'll be like, damn, see this cake, I see fresh, I want chop. You understand that kind of thing? So that's what you want to put in mind when you are making your design. And then you want to tell your story in a way that it will resonate with your audience almost, if not immediately, almost immediately, right? Now, storytelling and story structure. Follow a clear narrative structure, guiding viewers through a journey with a beginning, a middle, and an end. This ensures that your visuals work together to create a cohesive and engaging experience for the audience. Now, since the beginning of this class, I've been mentioning one thing. You want to guide your audience on what to do. The first thing you want them to see on your website, which is supposed to be above the fold. They don't need to scroll, they don't need to swipe, they don't need to do any other thing. That message, they must see it first. Immediately they see that message, what's the next thing you want them to do? Middle, right? Now, when they get to that point, what's the next thing you want them to do? You have to structure all of this into your design from beginning, so that you don't end up finding yourself so that you don't have audiences or users that are not interacting well or properly with your web page. You want to ensure that you are guiding them at every point in time. You want to tell them a story that, like I made an example about that shoe business, whereby instead of telling them you sell shoes, you do this, you do that, you're telling them, do you know that arthritis is attached to the kind of shoes you wear? Do you know that back pain is mostly caused by the kind of shoe you wear and how long you wear them? Do you know that the structure of your toes can be affected by the kind of shoes you wear? Now, these people are interested now because you've mentioned what their pain points. People between say 27 to 40 that are working, or to even 50 that are working, they probably wear shoes like up to like 6 to 8 hours of their day, if not more, right? Now, these people experience back pain due to different things. Maybe because of the kind of chairs they are sitting on, maybe because of the kind of shoe they are wearing. But the moment you mention that, do you know that shoes can cause you back pain? The kind of shoe you wear can cause you back pain. They be like, no wonder my back don dey pain me. Now you've already mentioned their pain point. What's the next thing you want to do? You've already grabbed their attention. Now from there, you can now come back to the middle where you say, okay, the kind of material that is used in making those shoes are what actually contribute to this back pain. Now, we on the other hand have done this research and ensured that the material we use in our own shoe does not cause back pain. So if you have been having back pain before, wear our shoe to correct it. If you have not been having, to avoid having back pain, wear our shoe to avoid it. Now, you've told a story. You've made them want to see what your shoe does. You've made, even without having to show them your own shoe first, you've shown them something, that somebody that has back pain based on the kind of shoe they wear. Now they want to see your own kind of shoe, then you now put your own shoes there. So those are the things you want to put in mind when you're designing. Those are the principles. These simple things just comes in, and then they help enhance your website big time. All right, so concise and clear. Now, you don't want to beat around the bush too much. That's another thing that is very important, because like I said, people have only 5 seconds to decide if they want to stay on your website. In the next 5 to 10 seconds they can't decide, then your job is not done properly, right? So you want to be sure that in the first 5 seconds you have passed an important message. So use visuals to reinforce key points and provide context while minimizing the text to avoid overwhelming viewers. The goal is to convey information clearly and effectively without relying too much on text or jargon. Like I said, nobody wants to read plenty story. If the text is too much, someone like me, I will not even read. I don't want to know how important what you are writing there is. If it seems too much, too bulky, I get tired even before starting it. So you want to be concise. You want to be sure you are passing the right message. You don't want to beat around the bush. And you know that in 1960 something, it's not their business. Even if they want to read more, provide an option where they can read more. Now that will be based on their own preference. Now they want to read more, that's why they are reading more. Not you boring them with so many jargon from the beginning. That's something that is very, very important. So choosing the right media format is very important. Like I said, I was talking about optimizing. When we're talking about optimization, you have to be sure that your your web page is properly optimized in a way that it doesn't take forever to load. Now, if you have a picture, if you have a website that has plenty pictures, if you notice, it takes longer to load. Now, not all of them. There are websites that you visit them, they have lots of images, but yet they load really fast. Say for example, Instagram. If you have good internet, once you open Instagram, everything is loading. Why? Because they are optimized. Now, mostly for web design, we don't use JPEG pictures. We use WebP. That's web pictures. Now, when you put this format on there, it becomes easy for the web page to load it, because it's not loading as a file now, it's loading as a link, and then a preloaded link that will you just go there, and then that's all. You see what you're looking for. So choosing the right format for your picture is very, 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 very important. All right, so just give me a minute to do something real quick. All right, talking about the right file format. Now, images can add context, emotion, and a visual interest. Choose high quality images that are relevant to your message and visually appealing. Consider using diverse image formats to keep your content engaging. Now, like I said about images before, you want to another thing that is very important is, I don't know about you, but me, immediately I see a picture that is not sharp or a visual that is not sharp, it becomes tiring. I already lose interest automatically. Once the page is not sharp, I'll just be like, oh, these people are not serious. So those are the things you want to put in mind. Ensure your pictures are high quality. Why? Because it's not just being high quality on your own mobile phone. Put it on a PC to be sure they are high quality too, because you can load a picture on the mobile phone and because the screen is small and compact, it's sharp. But when you put it on a PC, it becomes pixelated. So those are the things you want to consider really as very, very important, so that when they open your web page on a PC, they can see the pictures clearly and sharp. Do you understand? So um videos are dynamic and engaging, allowing you to tell stories with sound, movement, and emotion. Short videos can be especially effective on social media platforms. Now, if you are telling a story, like the web page we were building the last time, I don't know if I can quickly uh, show that, right? I should be able to. I can't. Hold on. I'm trying to show us the website we're building, right? So we were building this website, right? So see here we have a video, right, as our background. Where did we? I think we did. I think there was a part of the page where we put video, right? I can't remember why it's not sure. Okay. I think it's not loading well because of internet, I guess. Yeah. I don't know if you're seeing my screen. If you can see my screen, you see, yeah, you see that a video is playing on the background of this web page. If you can see, let me bring it in very well. You see that a video is playing on the background. Now you're seeing people that are working out, and this web page is about what? It's about a gym. Now you can see people working out. Now videos like this can capture emotion. Be like, oh, see this person with this good muscle. Me too, I want to build my muscle like that. Simple stuff like that can actually help your story go a very long way. So those are the things you want to consider when you are building a website, right? So let's go back to our slide. All right. So another thing you want to use is infographics. Now we all know what infographics are. If you don't, something like this is what infographics is. Something like this. These are infographics like this that shows percentage and all of that. Now it's more like using icons and illustrations to just tell your story instead of just typing it down. So instead of typing in everything in text, that we now grew in January, from January to December, we're able to grow from 0% to 25%, but in between we spike up to 70%. Instead of that, just show a graph like this. Show a chart like this. We tell your audience what exactly you mean without having to read too many jargon. You understand? So that's another thing. Infographics are a great way to visually present data and complex information in a simple and easy to understand format. This makes your content more engaging and accessible, allowing viewers to quickly grasp the key highlights. So like I said, you want them to see what you are talking about like immediately and all of that. So you want them to look and understand the message immediately. You want them to see what you're trying to pitch and then understand it without having to read too many things or wasting time. So optimizing visuals for the web, like I said, like I was saying the other time, um you have to optimize your visuals. It is very, very important. Now, making sure everything you design for web works perfectly for mobile is important. At the same time, you have to ensure that your visuals are responsive and adapt in different screen sizes, including optimizing images for video for and videos for mobile viewing, ensuring they load quickly and they display correctly on smartphone and tablets. That's what I just explained now. You have to make sure your design is responsive enough so that when they view it on desktop, it's fine, and then when they are viewing it on your mobile, on their mobile too, it's also fine. Now, for it to load quickly too is another thing that is very important. That's what I was talking about optimizing your files. You have to optimize your what's it called, your images, that so that they are low file sizes but they are high quality at the same time. So on Friday, if I don't remember, please somebody should try and remind me so that I will show you how to do this. Increase the file size of your image and then retain the same exact quality. You understand? So those are the things that matters a lot. If you end up loading your web page with a lot of high quality and high file sizes pictures, you're just going to waste your users time, because they might end up reading everything and then the picture has not loaded, especially in Nigeria where we don't really have that high speed internet like that. So these are the things you want to consider. Image optimization is compressing your images without compromising quality to reduce file sizes, which improves loading speed and overall performance. Use appropriate file formats and compression techniques to ensure fast delivery and smooth user experience. This cannot be overemphasized. This is what I just explained just now. Compress your images. Make sure they are low file sizes. In fact, let them be in kilobytes, but still very crisp and sharp quality. All right. Now, accessibility. Consider accessibility when choosing and optimizing your visual. Use alternative text for images to ensure that content is accessible to visually impaired users, making sure content is inclusive and accessible. Your content is inclusive and accessible to everybody. Now, there are ways you can easily use alternate text for pictures. Now, if you have a picture, you can always alternate the picture for a text that can actually describe the picture you used, so that somebody that is visually impaired, what they are using is text to speech, so that when the text to speech app is reading whatever is on your screen to them, it can also describe that image to them. Say for example, if a text to screen app, a text to speech or the app is describing this my slide now, what they will say is read all these things on the left hand side, and then on the right hand side you say a hand holding a phone in a vertical way, blah 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 blah. On the phone screen is pictures of blah 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 blah. So understanding all these things are things that will help your accessibility function on your website. All right. Now, leveraging on web-based tools and platform. Now, like I said, when we're talking about this thing just now, when we're talking about converting pictures and all of that just now, we talked about converting pictures, right? There is a web page that is called convert.io. Convert.io, what does it do? It helps you convert your image to a low quality and then with the low quality, I said low quality, not low quality, low file size but retain quality. That's what web.io does. Now if you have a JPEG picture, you can convert it to web page, web picture or PNG or any other format that you want it. You have a picture in WebP, you want to convert to JPEG, convert.io does that for you. Now leveraging on these kind of tools will help you um do your job way easily. Now let's go to this design tools. It says utilize user-friendly design tools like Canva, Adobe Creative Cloud, and others to create stunning visuals with minimal effort. These tools provide templates, graphics, and easy to use interfaces, making it easy for anyone to create a professional looking content. Now, for example, you want to create an illustration about what you're talking about on your web page. You can easily use any of these tools to design something very small and simple for your web page, and then without having to learn too much on it, you can easily design whatever you want to design real fast, and then you're good. Now talking about image library, explore free and paid image libraries like Unsplash, Pexels, and Shutterstock for high quality images to enhance your visuals. These libraries offers a vast selection of royalty-free images and visuals to suit your various needs. Like we used on Friday when we are doing our web design, we use Pexels to get pictures of what we are looking for. So those are the things that you want to those are the things you want to put into your practice, making sure you know all these websites that can help you with stuff that can enhance your web page. In fact, maybe on Friday I'll give us like 2-3 other websites that if you are not feeling inspired on how to block out your website or anything, there are websites that can give you inspiration on what your website is supposed to look like. If you are trying to design a page of maybe about us, and then you are thinking, I don't want it to be regular, I don't want it to be just plain, I want to embed some small design in it and all of that. Excuse me. There are websites that can give you inspiration like Pinterest, like Behance, like Freepik. All these websites can help you get ideas on how to design your platform. Now your own is to learn how to design those things. That's what I'm teaching you. Now the creative aspect of it, it's endless, it's limitless. You can always see creative stuff online, imitate them and all of that. So social media platforms, leverage on social media platforms like Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube to share your visual contents to reach wider audience. This platform is visually driven to make ideal for promoting your stories and engaging with your followers. You already understand what we're talking about here, that you have to leverage your on these web platforms and web tools to get what your audience will see on your web page, and then they want to interact with and all of that. So measuring visual content impact, I want to round up now, so we're almost done. Measuring visual content impact. Now number one thing you want to do is make sure you measure your web traffic, track website traffic data to understand the impact of the visual content on user behavior, and engage and analyze key metrics such as page views, bounce rates, and time spent on page to see how visual contributes to your user experience. Now, based on what we talked about when we're talking about A/B testing, talking about doing surveys and all of that, and making sure that your users are giving feedback on how they interact with your website. Now, you can always measure this on the back end. If you are getting your key metrics on your website, you can always see how many people are visiting your website, how many people click on this, how many people click on that, how many people actually waited or spent this amount of time on your website. Those things are very important. Those are the things you put in mind when you are making adjustments to your website, because those things are what's telling you that, okay, this is how people are behaving on your website, this is how people are doing. Are they really interested? Are they trying to move on really fast? Are they trying to want to just leave, or they just want to like get signed up really quick and all of that? You want to see how they behave and all of that. engagement metrics. Monitor your engagement metrics such as likes, share, comments, and click your visual content. This provides valuable insights on audience audience response preferences and activeness of your visual storytelling approach. Now, you've already told a story, you've already done a good job while telling your story, right? You want to see how they now engage to it. Do people really resonate with the story you are trying to sell them, or do they just see it as one of all those stories out there? So those are the things you want to know. Conversion. Measure the conversion rates associated with visual content such as sign-ups, downloads, purchases. This helps you determine effectiveness of your visual in driving desired actions and achieving your marketing goals. So like we said, you've already done a very good job while designing your web page. You've already done everything perfectly, right? But now at the back end, you want to be sure that people are actually doing what you want them to do. So get your metrics. See if they are actually clicking sign up. If they click sign up, how many of them actually completed the sign up? If they are supposed to fill a form, how many of them completed the form? If they are supposed to click learn more, how many of them click learn more? If they are supposed to click read more, how many of them click read more? If they are supposed to click contact us, how many of them click contact us? How many of them copy the number? How many of them actually called? You can always understand all of this. Those are the things that you want to put in mind, so that if you need to add any adjustment to your website, you can always do that. But if you are performing so well, you will also know from there. So that's what conversion does. So you have to measure how your visual content is impacting your website. If it's doing a negative toll on your website, you need to definitely change those visual contents. Those are the things you want to know. You want to put at the back of your mind. If a particular image is turning people away from your website, maybe you are trying to get like I cited an example of a web page for an NGO that is trying to let people donate for them and all of that, and then you use an image of people that are suffering and all of that. Maybe your image is too sensitive that people now tend to just want to close the web page immediately. They see that no, maybe it's giving them a kind of PTSD that is not making them stay on the web page. Now, from these metrics, from this report that you are reading, that you are checking on your backend, you'll be able to tell that okay, people are not actually interacting well, maybe because of this particular picture. Let's change the picture and see how they now behave. Those are the things you want to put in mind. So finally, key takeaway for visual storytelling. Number one thing is consistency. Create a consistent visual style across your content to build a brand recognition and establish a distinct outline presence. This ensures that your visuals are easily recognizable and resonate with your target audience in a way that if somebody even take a screenshot from your web page and post it somewhere, people will know that this is from your web page. If you screenshot anything from TikTok now and post it somewhere else, people will know that this thing is from TikTok. Why? It's because of the consistency in the look. We already know what TikTok look like. Let's now say TikTok every now and then is always changing and always changing. You won't know, which is bad for design and all of that. So engagement, prioritize content that is engaging and interactive, encouraging viewers to participate, explore, and share. This can include using polls, quizzes, and interactive elements to keep your content interesting and memorable. Now, when they come to your website, you have to make them engage. Don't let them just come to your website and read and leave. When they read, what do you want them to do? Tell us about yourself. Like you have a website about that talks about not talks about a website for a gym. Now on the website, maybe I now include a form where you can tell us your about your own personal lifestyle, so that we can now use that form to tell you what exactly or how long it's going to take you to lose weight. Say for example, I just put a weight calculator on my web page, whereby when you come to the web page, you can put your height and your current weight, then your body goal, how big do you want to get, or how slim do you want to get. Then when you put it, the calculator will now calculate how long it's going to take you to get to that point. Now, say for example, now I now do my own calculation and it says it's going to take me only 3 months. I'll be like, oh, that's very good. And then my friend now does it, and then his own is showing 2 years. You know, this kind of thing becomes, yeah, almost see you just, people will laugh about it, and then because of that, people tend to remember more, and then people tend to want to even interact more. Now, when they have gained weight, or maybe they have lost weight, they now come back to your website and do that same calculation again. Say, okay, I've done this for 1 month now. Let me now see how long it's going to take me now. This is my current weight. Let's calculate it again. Stuff like that will make people want to stay on your web page and even interact more, which converts to more sales to you. Now, data-driven decisions. Regularly analyze data to identify trends, one, optimize content, and refine your approach. This helps you ensure that your visual storytelling strategy is effective and continues to resonate with your target audience. Now, there's something that is trending. You've used it on your website. The thing is no longer trending. What is the new thing that is trending that you want to replace it with? A story that people are finding so interesting, maybe a slang, like I was talking about using languages that resonate with your target audience the other time. Now you've used a particular slang that was trending sometime. Maybe now that slang is no longer trending, and then maybe it's even becoming absurd to even use the slang. Now you have to update it and make sure you put the new ones there, analyzing which one works well with your brand, which one on your own brand. If it doesn't, use neutral languages and all of that. Just making these decisions, making sure you put all these things into consideration will help your storytelling ideas in every web page you build. And I want to tell us one thing again. All these things, all these principles I've been telling us are not just for web design, but design in general. If you are, I found out last week that most of the people in this class are also offering graphic design, video editing, and all of that. If you put all these principles to work when you are doing your still graphics, motion graphics, you're doing visual content and all of that, it will definitely enhance your product. So that's about it, and that's the end of the class for today. So if you have any question, please, now is the time to ask. So um I will I believe there's a group chat where you always get links to this class. So that group chat, I'm going to send a link there where you can download the resource files I told you about, so that next week, no, not next week, on Friday, people that were not able to participate in the last class, that's last Friday's practical, they'll be able to like be up to speed. You understand? So it's very simple, all right? So if you follow the steps easily, you will definitely get to understand all these things. So if you have any question, please, now is the time to ask. All right. So if there's no question, that will be the end of the class for today. Um, thank you all for attending. So I'll see you all on Friday. So for those that were in class on Friday, please by this Friday, make sure you have finished your website up to the point that we learned in class. So I don't want to come back and then we are still asking basic questions that are not. So although if you have any if you encounter any problem, document it and then we'll fix it on Friday. All right. I'll see you on Friday. Bye.